So, this week, the internet collectively lost its mind over a video, 36 seconds of green tinted footage skeleton outlines moving through what looks like night vision, and a caption that said, "Someone just open sourced software that sees you through walls using only Wi Fi signals." And the replies, chef's kiss. One person said, "The government has had this forever. Welcome to reality." Someone else immediately went to, "Bro, my neighbors are so cooked." And of course, there were at least 4 jokes about things I cannot repeat on this channel. But today we're going to do what we do and cut through the hype, explain what's actually happening, and figure out what's real, what's overblown, and whether you actually need to be worried. The spoilers, the answer is kind of, but probably not for the reason you think. And yes, wall hacks are now real in real life. Let's get into it. Okay, so what is this? The project that went viral is called RuView. Or more specifically, it's built on a concept researchers call Wi-Fi CSI sensing. And CSI stands for Channel State Information. Here's the plain English version of what that means. So, when your Wi-Fi router broadcasts a signal, that signal bounces off everything in the room, your walls, furniture, and yes, even people. Your body absorbs and reflects these radio waves, and when you move, those reflections change in subtle but very measurable ways. CSI sensing is the practice of reading those changes and extracting useful information from them. So things like, is someone in the room? Are they moving? Are they breathing? And what's their rough position? Now here's where it gets impressive and maybe just a little bit unsettling. Recent advances in machine learning have pushed this from, yes, someone is in that room, to full skeleton pose estimation. Like, it can roughly reconstruct the position of your body, arms, legs, head, shoulders, knees, and toes in real time without a camera, just from Wi-Fi signal distortion. So that green skeleton overlay in the viral video, that's not thermal imaging, it's not night vision, it's a visualization of Wi-Fi derived pose data styled to look dramatic, which, fair enough. The specific repo is RuVnet/RuView. Packages this into something actually accessible, edge-based processing, no cloud dependency, and it can reportedly run on hardware as cheap as a $9 ESP32 microcontroller. And yes, you know your girl has that in her Amazon cart right now, just waiting to hit buy because I want to try this out. And if you guys want to see it, let me know in the comments below. It is also open sourced under an MIT license, so anyone can use it, modify it, and distribute it. Kind of cool stuff. Now here's where I have to be the person who ruins the vibe a little. This is not new, guys, like at all. Wi-Fi based human presence detection has been in academic literature since around 2013. MIT published work on seeing through walls with radio signals called RF capture around 2015, and researchers have been demonstrating Wi-Fi based breathing detections and heart rate monitoring and fall detection for close to a decade. So the pose estimation stuff, the actual skeleton tracking, that is newer, but still from like 2020 onward, as the machine learning model just got good enough, like get good. Yeah, I know I'm dumb. But it's been public and published and demoed at research conferences for years. Several people in the replies to the viral post correctly pointed that out, saying, "Isn't this a 3-year-old video?" And honestly, Maybe, probably, I don't know, but these demos circulate, go quiet, then reemerge and hit a different audience. None of this makes it less interesting by any means, but I do want to be clear, this is not a sudden breakthrough. This is established research that just got packaged into something more accessible and then hit the algorithm at the right moment. Like, hopefully this video does. I don't know. Hit like. Which, by the way, that packaging part is actually the more important story, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first, I gotta introduce you to a fun little wrinkle. You know Google Nest, the smart home stuff Google sells specifically with the pitch that it protects your privacy because it doesn't use cameras? Google Nest Hub, the second generation one, uses radar-based sleep tracking. The feature is called Soli, and it uses a miniature radar chip to detect your breathing and movement while you sleep without a camera. That's not exactly Wi-Fi CSI sensing. It is a different RF approach, but the principle is more or less identical. Your body's interaction with radio signals is being analyzed to extract behavioral data about. And it's in a product that millions of people bought and put on their nightstands, marketed as the privacy-friendly option. There's also a separate Google feature called Home Away Sensing in some Nest products that uses Wi-Fi signals, the same signals from, your router to detect whether you're home or not. Now, I'm not saying Google is at all evil for doing this. Some of these applications are genuinely useful, like fall detection for elderly people living alone or sleep quality monitoring, knowing when to turn the thermostat down, etc., etc. I am saying, though, that this technology has been in consumer products in your home, and the framing has been smart home convenience, not RF surveillance. And that gap between what's being marketed and what's technically happening, I do think is worth knowing about. So let's talk about real threat models, though, because I think the doom posting and the dismissiveness are both missing the point here. So you have the version that's overhyped. The government isn't suddenly watching you through your router because this GitHub repo dropped. Intelligence agencies have far more sophisticated RF sensing capabilities and have had it for decades. So if you are a target of state surveillance, your Wi-Fi CSI data was honestly the least of your problems. There is a version that's legitimately concerning. The threat level here is accessibility. So when this technology existed only in research labs or expensive proprietary systems, the barrier to misuse was much higher. When it's open source, documented, and runnable on cheap commodity hardware, that barrier drops significantly. So now the relevant threat isn't the government. If they want to know where you are, if they want to track you, like really, you have no idea what they're capable of. The threat here is actually more of like a stalker, an abusive ex, a creepy landlord, or maybe just a nosy neighbor. So someone who is on your Wi-Fi network or close enough to passively capture your signal and just has a Raspberry Pi and maybe just too much free time is going to be more the person to worry about. That's the actual shift, not this new technology. It's more that the technology just got democratized. Now, there are some things you can do about it, right? This isn't something to overly worry about. I mean, first, you choose the simple thing is secure your network. You have a strong password, WPA3, if your router supports it. Don't let random people on your Wi-Fi. This matters because some implementations require being on the same network, so you just removed that as a problem. Second, you can be aware of what's on your network. Random devices that you don't recognize are always going to be a red flag, regardless of this specific threat. 3, RF blocking materials exist. Like, if you are really severely worried about it, and I don't think you really need to be, but if you are, there's overkill for you, and that's RF blocking paint and wallpaper. These are real products that exist. They're mostly used in commercial settings. And again, you don't need to worry about it this much, but if you are just a real tinfoil hat type, or you're just kind of curious on what you can do, there's an extreme, and it's there. And then, for the biggest mitigation is awareness. So now that you know this is possible, you can make informed decisions about where you place your router, what devices you trust in your network, and what smart home convenience features are actually doing. I really don't think this is a huge deal, but I do think it's really cool technology, and it's really cool that it showed up on my timeline, because I just think advancements are fun. But there's always the pros and cons. So like, my honest take on this whole thing is the viral reaction was a little overblown. This isn't a sudden apocalypse for privacy, but the people dunking on the concern with, oh, well, the government already does this, nothing matters. There's some points that are missing. So the story here is that a class of sensing technology that used to require specialized hardware, expertise, and resources is steadily becoming something anyone can run. And that does matter at least a little bit, not because it changes what powerful institutions can do, they've always had these tools, but because it changes what individuals with bad intentions can do. And the gap between, like, this exists in a lab and this is on GitHub with a tutorial is significant, and we should be paying attention to when that gap closes for what technologies. And as always, I'm not here to scare you. I, again, actually think this stuff is really, really cool, and I'm going to try and see if I can spin it up and play around with it myself. And I am here to make sure that you actually know what's going on, so you can decide for yourself what you think about it, and maybe just educate you on some of the cool stuff that we have going on. It really isn't all doom and gloom. But if you did find this useful, go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment with your take. Are you worried about this? Was this something that you already knew about? Do you think that hype was overblown? I mean, I want to know. And hey, maybe if you don't subscribe, I might be forced to banish you to the Shadow Realm.
Much better.
Anyway, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and peace out.